Welcome back to Naked Exposure. So I have a tendency of wanting so many different film cameras. I always fantasize about like so many different cameras. I always think there's one better than another, or I always think if I had this, I could shoot this. And I kind of like get so sucked into the gear world. I think it's like, film cameras are like beautiful. There's so many beautiful cameras. There's dream cameras that I want, like the Nikon F, and I want a Nikon F100 again. There's the Contax T2, T3, the Olympus Muji, Yashica T4, T5, even like, medium format, which is something I don't usually shoot a lot of, but obviously like Mamiya 7, Pentax 6.7, Mamiya 6, those are all awesome. I'd love to own a Mamiya 6, like the rangefinder, little collapsible lens, square viewfinder, that just sounds really cool. But I decided to sell a camera that I owned to buy another camera. So I had a little point and shoot camera that gained a lot of value since I bought it, and I realized that if I sold it I could get another camera to replace it. But I made myself kind of a rule, I suppose, because I buy from the heart a lot, or like I emotionally buy a lot of cameras, and I was like, I need to stop. I need to buy a camera that's functionable. I need to buy a camera that's just functions for what I need it to, So a friend recently that I have got a Leica M6 with a Summicron lens, and he let me try it, go shoot street photography. And the things that I loved about shooting that camera for street was the shutter's so silent. That's probably the biggest thing. It's such a quiet shutter because it's a rangefinder. It allows that really quiet shutter, which people can't hear on the street. Now I usually shoot with an SLR, and the mirror slap is a big problem. And also the size of an SLR compared to a rangefinder. Anyway, all of that aside, the thing that I'm obviously wanting to talk to, as you got from the title, is the Olympus XA, which is what I picked up with the money that I got for the other camera I sold. So my reasons for going for this camera was that, I've wanted one for about 2 years now. I wanted one for a while, and I didn't know if it was really a camera that I would need or get function out of. But after shooting the Leica and having a true rangefinder experience on the street, I realized how important that leaf shutter was, because a leaf shutter is, it's just a cloth moving. It's not a mirror like in an SLR. A mirror has to slap, open up, and the cloth has to open so the image is exposed. And that mirror slap is first of all loud, and when you're shooting at slow shutter speeds, it can, affect the sharpness of the shots, I guess, the motion in it. So this thing, like the Leica, is a rangefinder, so it has that quiet shutter, which was one of the biggest things that I wanted, was that quiet shutter. And this kind of one-upped the Leica for me, because a Leica M6 is like a camera I've dreamed of for so long. And after getting to use one, it was about as good as I thought it would be, so that's pretty amazing. But it was still too big for me, to be honest. I feel, as someone who's not very confident going up to random people, a Leica is just a very intrusive thing to hold and just like snapshot someone, walk past and just, like, I still do it, and I do it with an SLR, but this camera, I wanted it because after looking into it, researching it, and realizing it had a rangefinder patch. You can focus and align the two images and focus with it. It has, an aperture priority, so I can set my aperture for street if I'm shooting f8. I know that if I put it to like 1.5 meters, between 1 meter and 3 meters is in focus. So, I can walk about the street, shoot, wind on to the next shot, no problem. Obviously, I wanted one for a long time. I never took the plunge on it. I had the money because I sold another camera, and then I was waiting for a deal to come up. I waited a few weeks. Finally, one came up. I got the XA, I got the A16 flash, I got the case, I got the instructions and everything for like £50, which is amazing. So yeah, and getting the camera, it's actually surpassed what I thought it would be. I needed a whole field. I needed a camera that I could have every day, that wasn't a hassle, that I could focus with, that had some creative control over, and that was quiet, and also had good quality. I needed all of these things, and I was a bit worried about, the lens quality on something this small, and it not being the sharpest. But the images I've gotten so far, wow, like they tell a different story. This thing is just such a good camera. Everything I've designed about it is just incredible. Like, The details of it, I don't know how they made something like this in 1979. It actually blows my mind. You know, the focus toggle here, which when I look through the camera, I can line up two images and then I know that's in focus. It tells me my shutter speed inside the viewfinder. So if I'm on the street, I'm usually wanting to get about 125, 250th or 500th of a second. So I can set my aperture accordingly and see what kind of, you know, settings I want. You also have a manual ISO dial. So you can push film, you can pull film, and that's what I've been doing. So I sent a roll of Color Plus off to the lab the other day. Haven't seen the results yet. I wanted to film this before I saw the images because I wanted to just kind of have a talk about the experience I've had with the camera, just off the ergonomics and how it is to handle what it's like before I'd seen any of the color shots. But I was shooting Color Plus 200. I rated it at 100 ISO, and I did some night shots. I did some shots with the flash, some portraits, and I did some just out and about normal shots. So it's kind of a variety on this roll to kind of show me exactly what it can perform like. But I think that this camera has actually fulfilled my thirst for quite a while, because it's what I needed and it's what I should have invested in a long time ago. A quiet, quick and simple camera. You know, one that I can just have everywhere. And now that I have this camera, I can just invest in actual film to shoot in it instead of keep buying lenses and cameras and stuff. So I have a personal project coming up soon. I just flicked my laptop there by accident. I have a personal project coming up soon for my college course. So I've decided I'm going to exclusively shoot at Kodak Ultramax on it, because it's the only film that's not being affected by Kodak's film increase, it seems like. The film is just now extortionate compared to like 2 years ago when I was shooting like Color Plus was at like £3 a roll for 36 exposures and stuff. And now this stuff I can get for £6.50 a roll or £6 a roll, about that. So that's probably the best 35mm color neg from Kodak anyway that I can get. And I love Ultramax, I think it has such beautiful colors. But that's what, for my review, I think that I'm gonna shoot my personal project. I'm hoping to shoot about 6 to 9 rolls of just that Ultramax through the XA, get them developed, scanned, and then I will, once I've shot all of those, then I can really do a review. But this is just a first impressions because I had to just talk about this camera. It's beautiful. It's just, it blows my mind that it's 41 years old. This thing is 41 years old. It's so nice. When you have the strap on and you know, you just put it on your wrist like that, you can just walk about the street, you see something, you just quickly go like that, you can focus and then take the shot. And having that kind of like versatility in your pocket is insane for the size of it and the weight. Beautiful. And the fact, if I want to put on a self timer, I can go at the bottom of here, set one. If I want to backlight, like if I've got a really strong backlight and I'm trying to expose a subject in front, I can overexpose it by 1.5 stops. Like, that's insane. That kind of functionality in this thing is just crazy. Now, there is other XA models, but none of them have the rangefinder patch, and I think that's really what differentiates this and what makes it the XA to go for. The XA4 is the other one I'd recommend if you're wanting a wider lens, but you're still not getting the patch, so you're guesstimating focus or you're zone focusing. This thing is just a full, true rangefinder. And these things have gone up in price a lot, but I think even at the price they're at now, I think it's highly worth getting, because nothing comes close to this thing. In the 40 years that it's been out, I don't think there's been anything else besides the Contax T, which is a whole other story. That's the only camera that can one-up this. And, you know, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. The digital world, nothing can touch this at all. Nothing is this size, this versatile, this sharp. Yeah, I'm just very excited to shoot with this camera and own it, and you know, just go back to the whole shooting experience and planning projects with it, because I have this camera hole filled now. I had the camera that I hoped existed, you know. I hoped this kind of camera existed, and it does. So it's just awesome. Couldn't recommend it enough. I just think that the person that designed the XA, he was like a legendary film camera. He designed and made the OM1, the Olympus Trip35, the Olympus Muji. So like those are some legendary, amazing cameras. And he designed this one as well. And you can just tell that this guy was just working on some crazy efficiency, and he really understood what a photographer wanted. Like the functions and the usability and stuff, like it's all been thought out. This thing is just so, it hits the mark on everything you could think of. It's quick. It's just, if you're into photography, if you're into creative control, nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. So I think that's enough of me waffling about this camera. I think you realise that I have a lot to say about it. I could talk about it all day. That's enough, Alexa. I could talk about it all day. I love it. I've only shot, 3 rolls through it now. I've only seen one of those rolls develop, the black and white one. I'm currently waiting on the colour. You're about to see the images of the colour. I hope you can appreciate the beauty of this camera that this little tiny package produced. Those images, well, I've not seen them yet, but I imagine they're quite nice. And yeah, all these rolls of Ultramax that I'm going to shoot through it, I'm very, very excited. And the fact that my college brief is going to allow me to shoot a personal project on whatever I want. So, some street photography I need to figure out a theme of with this camera is going to be very, very exciting. As I said, prices are high on this thing. If you can get this thing for under £100, that's pretty good. So yeah, definitely recommend it. And just find a camera that fits the needs that you want. Figure out what kind of style of shooting you like, what you do. Pick a camera that kind of works for that, and kind of prioritize that camera and then work from there. There's no point owning 30 cameras if you don't have the one that's going to help you shoot the way you want. So yeah, subscribe to my channel, that would be very much appreciated. I'm absolutely passionate about photography, as you can tell, and I just want to keep making more videos and growing and growing. Check out my Instagram as well. I post photos all the time there. That's my little pride and joy, to be honest. I have a lot of pictures that I really, really like on there, so follow me on there. It's VincentJack97, and yeah, please subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, leave them below. If you want to geek out about the XA and say how brilliant it is, hit me up there as well. It's got a 2.8 lens. I don't think I mentioned that. It has a 35mm 2.8 lens. 2.8 lens, that's insane. That's insane. That's all I have to say. Review coming for this camera soon.